Greetings, Texas Realtors. I'm Cindi Bulla, your 2020 Chairman of the Board, and we're here today with another edition of Pass the Mic. I have with us today Travis Kessler, our CEO and President, and our special guest today is Robert Wright. Robert is the President and CEO of TAREB, Texas Association of Real Estate Brokers, and also a very active member leader of Texas Realtors. Robert, welcome. We're so glad you could join us today.
Thank you.
So Travis and I have a couple of questions we want to ask you, and then we'd love for you to add in whatever you want to add. I started today by doing my research, and I saw your theme for the year is revolutionary change from the bottom up. I'd love to hear you describe what that means.
Well, my thing is, I always try to put members first. And I think without members, you really don't need any leadership. As I told them at my installation, is without our local boards, we don't really need presidents, vice president, or anything else. So I believe that sometimes we get up on the top and we forget about the people at the grassroots level. I created what I call a TAREB train. It never stops at the station. It only slows down to let performers get on and non-performers get off. There's plenty of room on my train. Unless you believe in democracy and houses. We also do not discriminate. You know, my color plan is a black-based organization. And a few of our chapters, like Austin and San Antonio, has probably a 30% non-black membership. So we don't really care. I don't really care what that means. But I'm really concerned that the message doesn't get down to the bottom. So I'm trying to draw as many people from the bottom to the top. And I think it's somewhere along the line, I think the lead ought to look behind them and be trying to bring somebody up with them. And then if you're leading and nobody's following, you're just taking a walk. I don't have time to walk. You know, I'm trying to lead an organization into the next century. And to do that, our young folks need to be a part of it.
So you mentioned democracy in housing. Talk to us about what that is, what it means, and how democracy in housing fits within the Texas Association of Real Estate Brokers and weave it back into the National Association of Real Estate Brokers and also your local chapters. Can you tie that all together for us?
Well, democracy in housing is basically trying to create an equal opportunity for people of color, not necessarily black. Of course, that's really what we have to. But you know, we have a lot of minorities, and I belong to the Asian Association. A lot of them belong to our association. But democracy in housing is all about giving everybody a fair opportunity to own a home, and that includes the mortgaging, getting loans. I'm real big on not only people buying homes, but being able to stay in a home, because foreclosure is great to get folks to buy, but if they can't stay in it, you haven't accomplished anything. And I think sometimes that's why we have some of our low percentages of home ownership, because when you do the census, it's like a one-time shot. It doesn't say who all owned the home during that year. It's when we take that snapshot. So democracy in housing is really basically more like an equal opportunity, give everybody equal footing on being able to own a home.
Robert, let's bring Travis in. Travis, I know you have a couple of questions for Robert as well.
Yeah, Robert, thank you for your service in leading TAREB. What an outstanding organization. And I understand that you all have launched a great financial literacy education program. I think it's called House and Then Car Initiative. And you work with ambassadors to make that happen. Can you tell us a little bit about the initiative and what we can do as an organization to partner with some of your ambassadors?
Well, you know, that's just basically one of the programs we have. And it all started on something that our president, Donnell, started. And he and I talked about this long before he was sworn in. The whole approach is that, you know, millennials is a large part of our population. It's also one of the probably largest group of people who do not buy homes for various reasons. They're very transitory. A lot of them just financially, not financially, a lot of them still stay with their parents at home. So we felt, okay, House in the Car was more of an education program to teach our millennials a way of owning home ownership, a way of boosting ownership. We're trying to expand it. I talked to Donnell last night to include all age groups, because we're getting a little kickback from some of the people that's not millennium. Say, what about us? When we talk about Black home ownership and NAREB, we're really talking about everybody. And we have a lot of programs. We have another one, $1 billion program, which is a civic thing, and try to eliminate debt. One of our biggest we found in House in the Car and some of the other programs is debt. Home ownership creates wealth. Wealth, you have wealth, you get one home, maybe you can get another home. And as I was saying earlier, is House in the Car is a little misconceiving, and we try to make sure people understand it. We now say, don't own a car. Except depending on where you are, if you're New York City, you can't get a job if you don't have a car. If you don't have a job, you can't get a house. So we spend a lot of time trying to explain to folks is, we're not telling you don't have a car. We're just saying if you want to build wealth in Black community or any other community, home ownership is the way to go. And home in the car is an education initiative to help try to educate people on that.
So Robert, what are some of the best ways we can partner through the Texas Realtor Organization with your local chapters and with you as a statewide organization?
I think, as you travel around the country, and what I've done, I've already assembled a list of cities in our association that has a population of at least 5% Black population. And with the help of my CEO, Emily, who has been one of our local board members for 5 years, and Bill Evans, who's been a member for 4 years, has agreed to help me contact the AEs in these large metro areas. And I think, and when I say start from the bottom up is, you can't just bypass the AEs. Austin is kind of unique in TAREB, and then we have members from Texas REALTORS. We have members from our local boards, have been for years. So they have bought into what we were trying to do. I want this to go across Texas. And I know you can't go out and start promoting this organization and that organization, but I think it needs to be understood that through our strategic plans, that diversity means something in Texas Realtors. I would like to see us have some type of plan when next time we do a strat plan is, what kind of track do we have of bringing minorities up to leadership? It's not an overnight thing, as you know, it takes a long time. So we need help from probably from your level, is say, okay, it's okay to be Black, and Spanish, or Asian in Texas Realtor. We want you. But how about these committees, and make sure that we get the word out, that we have committee sign-ups. And then we'll select some committees, okay, pick people based on qualification. Because I'm completely against token. I don't like to put anybody in where it's not qualified. But I think that they ought to get the same look. You cannot always control that in leadership, but I think if people know that it's okay to put a person that's not Black or white or whatever the case be in a committee position, that's okay. I'm trying to convince my members that you can do that. That you all are not against Black being, and I give examples of strat plans and housing initiative and member benefit where we've had people of color. We don't have enough of them, and sometimes it's because they don't think they can compete. That's a hard nut to crack, and I've been working on that for probably 20 years. Haven't figured it out yet, but I'm gonna keep working at it. So I just need to know that you all set something in place that for people to understand, particularly the people who are making no decisions. A lot of times it's leadership team, that it is okay to pick someone that don't necessarily look like them, because I can place all the time. Look at it. We don't have anybody that looks like us in leadership. I get that, but that, at the same token, is we all have to work together to grow people from the bottom up. That's why I say revolution and change from the bottom up, and that starts at the committee level, as an example. But we got to be sure that we try to elevate people to the committee level, leadership level.
Robert, I listened to every single word you said today, and know that we're working hard to get it right. We're working very, very hard to get it right. Your work on that, originally on that diversity committee, got it off to a great start, and they're doing some really great things right now and moving forward. And so your voice has been heard, your voice has really made a big difference over the last few years, and it positioned us to respond well to the challenges and the tragedies of this last year.
Thank you.
Well, Robert, we look forward to you as Texas Realtors in our outreach initiatives, our involvement and engagement, and just working with you and TAREB on housing initiatives. Thank you for your service as president of this organization, and we look forward to continued work with you.
Thank you.